Hello, and welcome to the Trans Agenda, a podcast by Trans Clinique. I'm your host, Nico, and I'm a trans man, and my pronouns are he and they. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be right here talking about the Trans Agenda. In this podcast, we'll delve into the unique challenges and experiences of trans folks, highlighting the voices of those who have lived it themselves. We'll explore issues such as navigating medical and legal systems, finding acceptance within family and community, and combating discrimination and violence. Our guests will share their personal stories and expertise, providing valuable insights and perspectives on this often misunderstood aspect of the human experience. Join us as we strive to educate, inform, and advocate for trans rights and visibility. Hello, and welcome to the Trans Agenda. My name is Nico. This is Luna.
Hi.
Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who Luna is?
I guess. Hi, my name is Luna LoveBad. I am a trans Latina artist, model, content creator, sinfluencer from Compton, California.
Sinfluencer?
Yeah, you know, like saying like influencer to me is just so corny, and you know, I'm not perfect, so I feel like sinfluencer is like more
I
fitting.
love that. I kind of want merch with like sinfluencer.
Oh, you'll get some merch.
So actually, I met you through one of my events where you were performing, and you were amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
So I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about your music and how you got into making music, what kind of music you like to make.
Yeah. So I've been singing my whole life. My dad used to be a DJ growing up, so my little safe haven was like our garage, because that's where he had like his whole setup, and I would just like dance around and sing and like pretend like I knew how to scratch, but I don't. That's like more of my dad's thing. Like he used to scratch records and shit. And yeah, you know, it just started from there. I was doing like talent shows, showcases, little banquets. And then yeah, like for my mom's like school district, and then like other friends of hers or colleagues would just like find out, and they'd have me sing for, you know, other events and things. Yeah. So that's how it kind of started. And then I went to performing arts high school on the campus of Cal State LA. Oh, cool. And yeah.
What genre would you consider yourself? I never like to tell people like, oh, I read you this.
I would say more on the R&B, like pop.
Okay, same
spectrum. Page. Yeah, you know, because, you know, I like to throw in little runs here and there, and I like really smooth, chill instrumentals and things. So,
who are some of your like influences? Like, who do you want to sound like, or who influenced like your sound?
I mean, some of my favorite artists are like Amy Winehouse, Kalela, God, who else? I don't know, so many people. It's kind of hard to just choose like a few, but Amy Winehouse, Kalela, I'd say I listened to a lot of like Billie Holiday growing up, Mariah Carey, Selena, the Spice Girls.
I love it.
It's kind of like all over the place, really.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have like your whole look put together, your whole sound, so it comes together really nicely.
Thanks.
And when you did play my event, you have fans in the Bay. I don't know if you know.
I had no idea, but I was really excited. I was like, all right, y'all, let's turn this motherfucker up. It was cute. I was so excited to like see people like singing along. And
yeah, they were like into it.
I was surprised. So
really,
yeah. I don't know. Like, I just think I'm such a like small scale artist still, you know. So when I do see people like in a crowd and they're singing along, or they like know the lyrics, that just like touches my little trans heart.
I love that. So what's next for your music career? Like, where are you trying to go with it?
Definitely am trying to perform a lot more. You know, like COVID did definitely slow that down a little bit, because before COVID happened, that's when I released like my first project, my first EP. It's called Lit Up. Go check it out. It's on all streaming platforms. And yeah, like I feel like I just started gaining this like momentum of like performing like regularly. and then it stopped during COVID. Like I did a few like live streams and things like that. And yeah, I think right now I'm just like taking my time to really find like a true sound to like own in on. And I don't know, we'll see. I'm hoping to release like a single like by the end of the year, maybe in the beginning of next year. So
I love that.
We'll see.
So I love trans artists. I'm a trans artist myself.
You are?
Yes, I am.
You're trans?
No, I'm just an artist. No.
Oh God, I hope not. Those damn transgenders.
Right, you know, and I think it's really interesting because definitely being an artist has influenced my journey as as a trans person, and the other way around. So I'm curious for you, like, how has being trans influenced your artist journey?
I don't really think it has, honestly.
Oh, really? You're just an artist? Okay.
I feel like I'm just an artist first, and I'm trans second.
Yeah.
So I don't think that...
I love that.
It really influences, you know, my writing or anything. I've definitely, you know, considered, but I just don't want to be looked at like a trans artist. Like, I just want to be respected and looked at as an artist who happens to be a trans experience. So.
Well, I think it could be really powerful for people to also know your story because you are just like an artist, and so for other trans artists who want to see themselves in that, what's your story? If you want to share, like, how did you know that you were trans? Yeah,
I mean, I've known since I was a child. Like, I just remember like wanting to play with Barbies, and I became one. You know, when people would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would say a singer or a Barbie or a mermaid. So I think that was like...
And now you get to be all three.
Yeah, I've done all three. But it's like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that everybody was looking at me like, oh yeah, this kid right here. There.
Wait, tell me about the mermaid one though. Like... The mermaid fantasy.
I was just like really into the Little Mermaid. I don't know if it's like a trans thing too. Like I've known so many other like trans women who are like, oh my God, the Little Mermaid. Yeah. Because, you know, when you think about the story, it is kind of like she's completely different from everyone else. And she wants to like assimilate to living on land and having legs and all this stuff. Like,
it's true. It's definitely a metaphor.
Yeah, definitely. We love a metaphor. But part of your world. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even trying. I'm sorry.
Let's sample that. Remix it. Like.
But yeah, I was just super into playing with dolls and anything super hyper feminine. And when I was in high school, I just started experimenting with like my looks and was really into like the emo scene, like kind of subculture. So I had like big blonde teased up hair and would wear like makeup and tight jeans and like little boy t-shirts.
I love that.
That showed off like my stomach. And yeah, it just kind of started from there. Like it was a super feminine, alternative kind of style, and then I just continued to like, you know, experiment with my style from then on.
I didn't know you were an emo kid. I was an emo kid too.
I was a scene kid.
Okay, I was hanging out in the emo cage, but
I do love like emo music. Like that was my shit. And I had a pretty big following like on MySpace, and this was kind of like, you know, during the era where being a social media influencer and all that stuff, like it didn't really exist, and I wasn't even thinking about like documenting like my journey and stuff. But I just remember seeing kids from like middle of nowhere America or like the Ukraine or Russia and being like, oh my God, you're such an inspiration. I didn't really have like a whole lot of friends that were into like the scene culture and stuff, so I ended up finding like a community of people like through MySpace, and they just so happened to live like in LA. And you know, I would sneak out of my house and go to clubs with my friends and steal bottles of alcohol from like liquor stores and supermarkets, and we would just like take pictures and videos of like all of our outings and stuff. And I think that like really caught people's attention because they're like, oh, look at these kids like dressing however they want and running amok through all over the city. And yeah, it was cool just to have people like reach out who lived in like rural cities or towns in America, middle of nowhere, and people from like Russia and Ukraine and Japan just being like, wow, I really want to do what you're doing. Like, what you're doing is so inspirational. And I didn't really think of it that way. I'm just like a young person just trying to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because a lot of people feel like they can't, who don't live in cities like we do, feel like they can't do that.
Right.
So I don't know. What advice would you give to somebody living in like either a rural or conservative area to be themselves still?
That's so hard because, I grew up in Compton, so it's very much that. It's not necessarily like conservative, but it's like, I don't know. It wasn't really like the place to be walking around and being openly queer or trans, right. I don't know. I guess I would just say, be true to yourself and don't listen to what other people are saying. I know it's kind of like corny, but I literally did the same thing, and you could be like this. I don't know.
Barbie breath doll.
Yeah, period. Yeah, and if you do start to transition, like, understand that your journey is your journey. Don't compare yourself to anybody else's.
Right. That's true, because everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not to compare, but do you feel like the people who are transitioning now versus transitioning before when you did, do you feel like it's easier, it's harder? Like, what do you think about how kind of the pendulum has swung?
I think there's a lot more resources and a lot more people that support, and you can literally go on TikTok or YouTube and just watch somebody talk about how they take their shots, or the emotions and like all the physical and mental and emotional changes. Like, I feel like it is a little bit easier just because it's like more accepted. But I will say, like, individually, I'm sure, like, it's difficult,
Of
like,
course.
It's like you said, like, everyone's transition is completely different. And,
Well, and honestly, I grew up in a small town. And so I feel like when I was coming out, it wasn't even me, it was my friend. And I was coming out for him, I'd be like, oh, he's trans. People didn't know what that was. And so, I mean, they were kind of like, that's weird, but they were fine with it in the end of the day. But now I feel like in these small towns, people know what trans is, and they associate it with something negative.
Right.
If they're inclined to be judgmental. So it's kind of like weird because there's more resources, right? But at the same time, it's like there's this wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, what do you think needs to happen for us to come together as a community against that wave?
More empathy and understanding. Like, I don't need you to understand like what I go through like completely, but just to like have an open ear and be empathetic, like, I think would really help us a lot, because we're all human at the end of the day. I mean, people are over here talking about aliens and being like, oh my god, I can't wait for the aliens to take over. I'm like, you can't even accept people in the human race that are like different from you. What makes you think that you're gonna fucking like embrace some alien? Like, that's just so weird to me. But yeah, empathy and support.
I love the like alien conversation that you brought in too, because I feel the same way too. But there is one question that I like to ask everybody.
Okay.
And that is, what is your trans agenda?
Trans agenda to me sounds like an Italian person saying transgender. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, I love that. So to go to Italy is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a wonderfully warm experience.
Yeah, I had a great time. Yeah. Thanks. Bye, y'all.
Trans individuals face unique challenges every day. From accessing healthcare to navigating legal systems, it is crucial that we work towards creating a society that is inclusive and supportive of people of all gender identities. This means advocating for policies and practices that prioritize the health and well-being of trans individuals, as well as challenging discriminatory attitudes and behaviors where they exist. By coming together to support and uplift trans voices, we can create a brighter and more equitable future for everyone. Thank you for listening, and let us continue to work towards a world where trans individuals can thrive. Follow us on all social media platforms at Trans Clinique, and don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button.